That symbiote nearly drove me nuts. I can imagine what it's doing to a pumped-up lunatic like Brock.
So essentially, we are going to see Venom and Carnage duke it out. That's it. That's all you need to know about Venom Let There Be Carnage.
How do you even know about that?
I know everything.
But seriously, with a whole multiverse of Spider-Man characters existing at this point, trying to figure out what's going on in this Venom sequel can be quite confusing. With the flaky yet symbiotic relationship between Marvel and Sony, we have to expect the unexpected at this point. So let's hop in the lobster tank and try to make sense of it all. Before we get to the film that releases exclusively in theaters on September 24th, let's quickly recap where we last left off. After Eddie Brock took down Carlton Drake, leader of the Life Corporation, following his attempt to bring back more goop with his spaceship, not to be confused with the other Sony Pictures movie Life, which also featured a murderous, slimy black parasite found in space.
And you says you've been your plan all along, to make sure that that creature doesn't get to Earth.
It seemed that Eddie Brock was going to lay low, rebuilding his reporting career while masquerading in the night via Venom as a lethal protector. In the mid-credits scene, we were introduced to the crazy redhead who was insistent on the sun coming out tomorrow. Sorry, my bad, wrong wig. That he would be causing some carnage. Apart from the heavy-handed setup, we were all pretty excited to finally see Cletus Kasady on the big screen. I'm getting flashbacks to my youth where there was that trailer for a Spider-Man 4 with Jim Carrey as Carnage? Ah man, if little me only knew what was in store in the coming decade. If you didn't know, Cletus Kasady in the comics is an unhinged serial killer, about as ruthless as they get. After tragically watching his father murder his own mother, he took those genes and murdered dozens, including his grandma, his dog, his orphanage with children inside, and somehow even someone through the internet. If it isn't already Ted-bundantly clear, the symbiote absolutely loves Cletus for his disregard for human life, and is the perfect companion for the homicidal maniac. A year and a half after the first film, this one follows Eddie Brock trying to stop Cletus Kasady as he causes some carnage following a failed execution at Ravencroft. While the Life Corporation would have seemingly been put on hold by the end of the first movie, after the pretty clear threat that the symbiotes imposed, we still somehow have even more symbiotes that will be introduced in this film. Apart from Carnage is his lover Shriek. Now, Shriek technically isn't a symbiote, rather being aptly named after her ability to create sonic blasts along with the ability to tap into people's minds and play out their biggest fears. In recent lore, however, she did bond with the symbiote to amplify her powers and help Carnage out. So while we may not specifically see her get slimed in this movie, it very well may happen in the near future. Another canonically symbiote character teased to be in the movie is Toxin. Get ready, cause some daddy issues are inbound. So, through comic book logic, Toxin is the son of Carnage. Of course, Carnage being Carnage, he wanted to murder his kin as soon as possible. To do this, he infects Detective Patrick Mulligan, who, as we seen in the trailer, is heavily involved in the symbiote case. Once infected, the detective becomes Toxin, who actually gets protected by Stepdaddy Venom, leading them to team up and fight Carnage. You know what? Maybe that Annie wig was on purpose, with Toxin being Annie, Carnage being Hannigan, and Venom being Daddy Warbucks. Okay, fine, I'll stop with the almost 40-year-old musical reference. So there was a lot of, let's say, interesting choices in that first Venom movie. Previous director Ruben Fleischer incorporated a lot of oddball comedic moments. With Ruben now working with Tom Holland on Uncharted, Andy Serkis was brought on board to helm this film. This could have brought in a whole new vision with less schlocky humor and a more serious rated R vibe. But as we saw in the trailer, they just cranked the humor of the first film up to 11, which might be a bad metaphor because Venom absolutely hates loud noises. Speaking of the first film, several elements will be returning. Michelle Williams is back as Eddie's ex-girlfriend, with her current boyfriend Dan Lewis confirmed to be returning. Then there's Miss Chen and her convenience store, along with a subtle nod to Stan Lee. Of course, the question on everybody's mind is, where is Tom Holland? It's kind of crazy that there is still no sign of the wall crawler, considering canonically Venom is a doppelganger. But to that I ask, should we even be expecting Tom? Now, spoilers for Loki episode 2. The multiverse has been blown open in the MCU sacred timeline, with variants now being able to cross every which way. What is this, some sort of multiverse of madness? What this could present is Venom actually taking place on another Earth altogether and joining the MCU in the same way that Tobey's Doc Ock and Garfield's Electro are entering Spider-Man No Way Home.
And how does that even work with all the quantum? It's insane. Sorry. It's really cool.
Now, the trailer does feature a nod to the Raimiverse, with that universe's Daily Bugle logo being used, but that seems more like a fun detail from the prop department, considering Eric Foreman already went down that Eddie Brock path. It would be pretty fun if this universe was actually Andrew Garfield's timeline. The tone already lines up, and with multiverse shenanigans, it still leaves the door open for a Tom v. Tom scenario, while also not causing too much of a headache for MCU continuity, while also giving a home to the poignantly named Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters. Universal Studios Florida incorporated its Halloween Horror Nights event into their Marvel land, creating Island Under Siege. A chaotic what-if had Carnage taken over the Marvel Universe. Provided the Sony and Marvel partnership continues, I'd love that idea to be explored further in Season 2 of Disney Plus's What If series.